In the next you're gonna have to go through 7 days, Smart Nonsense will have a 100,000 view video on TikTok. That's the declaration, Belky.
There's the hook. There's the declaration. And man, you gotta watch this episode to see what a roller coaster that was for a minute. Welcome to the Smart Nonsense Podcast, where we talk about entrepreneurship, self-development, challenging norms. We're here for a gem, baby. A short and sweet accountability appendum. It's an accountability
I'm kind of scared. I'm kind of scared. One, because it looks like you're in like a cult church. I don't like it when you're in the garage. It's nothing pointy is ever good. And then I'm looking, Belky, help me, I'm losing it.
What happened to your Opal? Is this Opal?
Oh!
I might get in the 360p. Hey, go watch this on YouTube. Let us know.
No.
Does Dylan have his Opal set up? It doesn't look like it.
It says 1080. It looks pretty good from my end.
Okay.
So, you know, on YouTube it'll look dope. But
I hope so.
Belky, here's what I've been juggling with, and I need you to help me figure out life. I'm obsessed with Alex Hormesis, a.k.a. Alex Hormozy. He's someone that came on my first Million pod, and I've like heard about him on TikTok. Saw him there, and I'm like, oh, this guy's actually not just a bunk guru like the Ty Lopez.
Here in my garage, just bought this.
I don't even watch Ty Lopez. He could be good for all I know, but he gets a lot of shit. But this guy, Alex Hormesis, we'll call him. Every podcast I've watched a handful of them now. They're all just wisdom gems. It's like sales gems, and then he's like, I made all this boatload of money, which is like still not enough for me. He has probably like 100 million in net worth, and he's like, I made it all. Then I sold all my shit because I'm like, this doesn't make me happy, and now I'm figuring out what makes me happy. And it's like, I just love that. I love that little journey.
Well, how do you make all this money? Because I still got to watch all these videos on the plane tonight.
You're playing tonight, huh? Hey, the fucking rain.
Don't get me started, Pop.
It's going sideways.
Don't get me started, Pop. I haven't seen rain since October. I come to Chicago. I haven't seen sunshine since last week.
Hold on.
That's the weather report from the Smart Nonsense Podcast.
Can you see outside the window?
It looks like Gotham.
Dude, it is Gotham.
It's pouring rain.
So that's awesome. Got you for another day. Got you trapped in the attic of your garage.
Hormozy, Pop.
Hormozy, he's my dude. Watch him. He's amazing. Just in terms of like how to actually tangibly make a business. Like what his business was he originally wanted to open a couple of gyms, and he did that, and then went to this one Russell Brunson sales conference. Then Russell Brunson's like, yo, dude, what are you doing? He's like, oh, I opened a gym. Now I like teach people how to open and sell a gym. He's like, well, how do you do that? It's like, well, I'll like fly to where they are, and I'll just set it up for them, and I have this nice deal. He's like, why would you fly everywhere? Just make the course so you're going to charge less, but now you can scale infinitely. Build that course and then sell it to everybody. He did that. Now he sold, I don't know, he sells this course for like $50,000, and it's just like, literally, here's my playbook for a gym. You're a gym. You want to increase your sales? I'll increase your sales $250,000 this year. You just pay me $50,000 of that. So it's an absolute no-brainer. They're like, oh, and it's risk-free because he knows all the marketing works.
And it's pay me. It's like a money-back guarantee.
It's kind of like
you don't pay me.
I think it's like, I don't know how he structured it exactly, but it's like you don't lose money if it doesn't work. But it works because he's a brilliant salesman. That's why I've been like consuming everything, because he's just fucking beautiful. And right. And it's also cool. He starts every video. He's like, hey, I'm not trying to sell you anything. And it's funny because I just bought his book and fucking reading that. But it's such a good book.
Gotcha.
Okay. I don't know. I'm constantly confused because we'll have like issues. For example, you said it this morning of this one creator. We won't name names, but I guess they just ghosted us. Like they've gone dark and they're paying, I think, $2,000 a month. Most people, they're like a different tier of editor, but we have a lot of people that are like $2,000 to $4,000 a month, and we just see them wasting money. It's like, oh, that fucking hurts. That's crippling. Like, what are you doing? But a lot of people still do it. It's not like the worst business model, but I just feel like there's going to be a lot of churn, sort of like we felt for 10 for 10. Because it's just like, I don't know. People just.
Oddly enough, we haven't had much churn, but I feel the same way. I feel like we're always going to lose this thing because people aren't as committed.
It's really scary. So now I'm thinking, I'm like, we get back into, okay, what were we trying to do? Dude, it's literally going sideways. It's fucking crazy. We did 10 for 10, and we're selling 10 clips for $10,000 a month, which is kind of crazy when you think about it, when it's just like going on Twitter and stuff. But that's why a lot of people stop doing that. A lot of people keep doing it, but a lot of people are like, okay, this doesn't convert for me, so I want to do it. It's like, what do people really want? Every time we hear about people saying, oh, this is what I want, or judging our success, it's just views. Like, how many views did this get? And then with MFM2, it was like, okay, sure, we get, say, 250,000 views on this Michael Jordan video, but how does that convert? It's like, okay, I don't know how to solve like the conversion problem. That's kind of like a full-blown marketing equation. But what's easier for us is this views. And that's something we don't have direct control over, but we claim to know the formula. We've always claimed, like, hey, it's really just like good enough quality with a lot of quantity. It's like, that's our formula. Let's just fucking do it. We figured out the editors that can get good enough and beyond quality. Let's get them in there. Just get a lot of them. That's how we pump the system. Why we switched to this model of you just rent an editor, basically, is because now you can do anything. You can make whatever content you want. But often people suck at strategy. They don't really know what they should be doing.
It untied us from our success metric being views. It said, like, we are no longer coming in to get you more views. We're now just providing post-production. So you rent our team. And you can't really lose that game, because so long as they're getting their videos edited, you know, I'm being general here, but so long as they're getting their videos edited, our value proposition holds true.
Yeah, it just depends, because right now it's like, okay, if I'm spending $4,000 on an editor a month, I could just do that in-house. Granted, the editor's going to be worse, but it's like in my time zone, and maybe that helps in certain cases if I'm not doing a ton of content. Like, I don't know. It's kind of precarious, but we see the value because it's like, okay, it'd be $10,000 in the US to get an editor like this. But so I'm thinking, I'm like, okay, if we wanted to scratch our own itch, like, would we pay $4,000 for one of these editors? Like, no, we'd go out and hire them ourselves. It's like, okay, well, that's clear because we built a fucking business around that. But I feel like, I don't know, maybe there are a lot of people that do that. I'm like, what do we want? Okay, we want either a cheap editor, but more directly, what do we want? What does everybody want? They just want views. Like, that's what everyone really, like, all of this is just like roundabout ways to get to views.
That's a great point.
It's like,
we're just
I'm going to hire an editor to get
Everyone's
views.
trying to get views.
It's like, okay, let's just sell views. It's like, this is going to put us to the test. Like, do we actually know what we're talking about? So I'm going through and I'm watching all this Alex Hormesis stuff, and I'm like, dude, his editing is so basic. It's just him talking to screen with like clean text and occasionally like some emoji or something just to be like, oh, that's kind of fun. But it's like super basic marketing. But most people can't do that because they'll get like a couple of these clips out a week, and that's just like, that's not enough shots on goal. I've been sending you, Belky, these TikToks for my first million, which I think is just a treasure trove of virality that is untapped. But it's like 1 in 10 of those gets 1 million views. But they're only putting out like 3-4 a week because they probably have one American person doing it.
Dude, you know who it is? It's the guy from Our Future, I'm pretty sure.
I know. He probably outsourced it to someone else, though, on his team.
Maybe.
I doubt it's still him because I don't know why he'd want to grow that. But that's what I was surprised, too. I was looking at their account, and I didn't realize, but it's the official account of the My First Million podcast. So I don't know if, like, My First Million bought the account.
I don't know. They probably just, like, emailed, and then they were like, Sam was like, hey, you're the official account of the My First Million podcast now.
Or he just put it.
Maybe they pay him. Yeah, I don't know.
Knowing them, Sam was probably just put that in there and we'll pay you like $5,000 or something. I don't know. But our point is, okay, can we do virality? And I like what we did with Ali Abdaal, where we just came in, we're like, Ali, you have this treasure trove of content. Just give us the logins and we're going to rip. And we've been ripping, and granted, he's someone who has over 1 million subscribers on YouTube, but he had not a big audience on TikTok, like 70,000 subscribers-ish. We haven't even touched his Instagram yet. But we're getting well over 1 million views a month on his content, which we should. We should be doing even more than that.
20,000 followers in the month.
Right. And so this is us like not even paying attention. This is just like, oh, team, just churn clips. It's like, I'm like, if this is what people want, they just want views. Because that's all we send them. We send them the report. It's like, hey, here are the views this month. Here's the increase in subscribers. Maybe they're looking at the clips and like, oh, these are really high quality. But everyone's just like, give me the fucking views. Like, that's all I want. I don't care how many stupid animations you put in this 30-second clip. Just tell me how many people saw it. It's like, okay. So part of me is like, let's just play that game. I'm like, let's first scratch our own itch. Let's be like, and I say let's, but it's kind of a me thing, so that's why we're declaring this publicly. But I also want to figure out what the declaration is. It's like, let's just see if we can go viral on our own content. Because supposedly to us, we think it's valuable and entertaining. It's like, okay, that should check that box. Granted, we have no audience, so it's basically building this from scratch. We have an audience, but they came in here for Naval stuff on most of the content. So like everyone on TikTok and Instagram like didn't come here for us. We have no one on TikTok. It's like, can we, in whatever the time period is, get to 100,000, 1 million views, whatever that is, with our own content? And now it's like, you don't even need a sales page. It's like, guys, like our future is probably like, yeah, look, we have an account and we did it from scratch. Like, no nonsense. We have an account. We did it from scratch. Like, you don't think we can do it again? We have all these clients. We worked with all these people. I think it'd be the easiest sell in the world if we did it ourselves. What's cool, I don't know if you want to, Belky, I've been ranting for a bit, but
well, I have a couple thoughts on ourselves. One is like, is our content viral worthy? Right? We're like daily diarying. Daily diarying. One, I think it's gonna be hard to pull maybe like MFM pop culture gems out of these. That's one thought. Not that we can't change that. Another is, I'm thinking about like a lot of our creators who, like, clients, just don't have the personality. Like, no amount of post-production, no amount of story arc, no amount of editing can like fix a bad personality and maybe like a bad plot line for their clip. That's hard to fix. Ali Abdaal is a nice, easy one because he gets it. Obviously, he gets it. He's got 3 million subscribers.
Maybe, but he's not that entertaining. He got to where he is because his videos were clean and pretty and he's organized.
Yeah, I don't think he's that entertaining, but I mean, he crafts his points properly.
Maybe, but it's not super pop culture. Maybe that's also why it's not performing as well. Versus MFM, it's such a treasure trove because it's like, oh, Google just did this thing. They make 95% of this revenue from this. And it's like, oh, what is this? And you keep watching it. It's like,
Google makes 95% of the revenue from one thing, but they're constantly trying to launch all this other stuff.
Okay. They just get it. It's naturally lends itself to that. So I don't know if our content, and maybe we could shape it in a way where we still enjoy it and it's still like more pop culture-y. But I think there's so many stories of just us like working with Hassan Minhaj, and it's just like, oh, put that up. That's interesting to people. Like, oh, we worked with them. Here's what it's like. It's like, oh, I want to fucking know what it's like to work with Hassan Minhaj or like Will Smith. Will Smith right now, imagine all the clips. We could be like, hey, we're working with the team. This is what happened. Or we could shoot a video fucking right now. And it's like, we worked with Will Smith for a $40,000 project. Here's what happened. It's like,
yeah,
here's how he fucked us. He slapped us in the face. It's like, oh my God, like, I'm going to watch this video. So I don't know. Part of me wants to make those videos too, because I'm like, I kind of want the crack of just like actually getting views. And I know we have the content there, because how many people can say they did that? One thing, I'll go back to Hormesis because I'm reading his book right now. One little hack. I'm just a big treadmill guy now. I'm a treadmill walker, dude. I hit a good
I never thought you would end up being a treadmill walker.
It's the perfect thing because I guilt-free read books or watch podcasts. Like, you can't really watch a podcast if you're walking outside, and it's fucking hailing outside right now. So, like, I'm not going to do that anyway. And I just hit it for like an hour or two and fucking crank up 4 or 5 miles. Listen to this. Okay. So what's cool? One, I was texting you all this stuff and I'm like, yo, dude, I think, and maybe this is cracked out, but I'm like, if we just guaranteed you get at least 1 million views, if you don't get over 1 million views with our virality in a month, then we're going to give you all your money back. Just like make that shit risk free. Then I feel like we could, I don't know. My train of thought's kind of ridiculous, but I was throwing out big numbers. I'm like, my concern is right now, I think we can just charge more if we get really good at the viral game, but we kind of only get good at like the viral repurposing game, and I don't know how like good we can get there, but I feel like it can be pretty nuts. And then if we can guarantee 1 million views for like a decent creator at a company with a lot of money, then we could charge, hey, you got this semi-new brand, but they have entertaining content. It's 25 grand. We'll get them 1 million views on your account. So like you build that brand value and you can keep running.
Organic.
It's like
organic.
It's like you can't pay for that.
Right. So you're like, why are we playing the, what do you call it at the marketplace? Cost game. It's just like,
yeah, it's like
it's just a race to zero. Yeah. Versus like, well, let's play the opposite game. Let's play the viral game. Where can we inject value and then charge like infinite for that upside?
Right. So value game. Here's what I like about Hormesis. He's like, hey, 4 ways to add value. Hey, by the way, Hormesis is like when you go outside and you're really cold and your body like goes into survival mode. That
what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Right. Okay. That's why it's some stupid inside joke we have.
So here's the problem for the TikTok clip you're gonna pull from this episode. It's just all about hormesis. You can't make a clip about hormosis.
No, but that's kind of funny because it's like Alex. It's like we're getting his name wrong. If you're like, these guys are fucking stupid. Like, what is this? Okay. So hormesis.
He would know what hormesis is. He would know.
You know he knows.
I bet
dude.
you he would know.
I'm gonna get him on this podcast because he'd be a fun guest. Actually, no, he's kind of laid back.
No, he's pretty.
We don't
flat.
do guests. Okay.
Guests.
4 ways to build value, and most people only do 2, but he lays out all the 4, and it's like, just fucking hammer these home and you're gonna be on your way to the promised land. Because he's just someone who never competes on price. He's like, that's not a thing. Just, I'm charging 50 grand for this product. Just increase value. If you can make the value like 5 to 10x what it is and make it a no-brainer, kind of like Yuri's always said, it's just like, that's your grand slam offer. His book is $100 million offer. It's like, make something.
Oh, that's sitting in my Kindle. I didn't know that was him. All right.
Also, what's
it's
cool?
Purple, right?
He starts the book. I don't know. I'm audiobooking it.
Doesn't read.
He starts the book and he's like, okay, baseball analogy. Most people, you're up to bat. If like the worst you can do is strike out, but the best you can do is hit a grand slam, and that's 4 runs. But now take the world of business or like what we're doing here. You hit 1 ball, it's like winning the World Series for the next 100 years. Like you don't understand disproportionate returns. Like kind of what we're talking about with virality. You look at MFM and they're like all getting 10,000 views and then one just gets 1 million. Like it doesn't make sense to us. But that's the game you're playing in business. So that's why he loves it. Okay, value.
It's because, fuck it. But literally our brains cannot conceptualize like exponential power laws. We can't. We just like live in a linear world.
Especially when you're getting 86 views every single video.
It's so linear. I'm like, I know all 86 of you. Get the fuck out. Actually, though, I make one video about this Opal camera. Ooh. Easy pop. I make one video about this Opal camera. There's literally a hockey stick where YouTube turned this thing on. It's at like 1 point some odd thousand views right now. And my brain's just like, it's like, I can't like.
Why did that happen? And that's the thing. We know the type of content that does well, and we're just like,
no.
I don't want to shoot it though.
So busy and lazy.
Okay.
It's hard.
Well, maybe I'll focus on it now if you can make us some goddamn money this next week. Okay. Value. How do you increase value? 4 ways. Again, 2 of them most people don't do. One is your dream outcome. This is like, okay, you want to get somewhere. You want to cross this bridge to go to the promised land. What is the promised land? Like, that is just step 1, and everyone kind of knows that. Like, oh, here, it's super obvious. With 10 for 10, it's like, I'm getting 10 clips. Why do I want that? I want views. Oh, no, you're going to get 1 million views in a month. Like, that's our promised land. Okay, awesome. Number 2, it's how likely is this to happen? So it's like, okay, you tell me I can go to the promised land. Like, am I going to do that 50% of the time? How often? It's like, okay, you're going to get to 1 million views. If not, you get all your money back. And guess what? It's just like 0 risk on your part. It's like, that's one way. It's basically 100% likelihood, or nothing changes on your end. Number 3 is like time delay, he calls it. How long does it take to get this? So you want to get to the promised land. How likely are you to get there? How long is it to take? It's like, okay, in our case, it's a month. But ideally, it's like a week or a day. It's like, what if it was 1 million views in a week? Which I think we could potentially do for MFM. And that's a lot easier to sell. It's like, hey, pay us this amount of money. If we don't get it in a week, we'll give you your money back and just cancel it. Like, keep all the views that you got for free. Then number 4, so these last 2, like the time delay, most people don't think about like how to just bring it down as close to possible. And then number 4 is what we've always talked about. It's effort. It's like, how much are you sacrificing? Are you spoon feeding it to me, or do I have to like do a lot of work? Do I have to be the one that uploads it and puts the SEO and titles and thumbnails, or is it just give us the logins and we're just gonna upload like Ollie and you just see the results? Like, that's the ideal. So the more you can kind of improve all of these 4, the higher value you can charge. So that's where I'm like, okay, dream outcome. It's a lot more tangible at 1 million. Likelihood, okay, you get your money back if we don't hit it. Time delay, what if it's not a month? What if it's a week or less, if we can fucking somehow promise that? And then effort, just give us the logins. We do it all for you. It's like, oh, that's a pretty good offer.
Yeah.
Like, in terms of value there, I think the only real question is, on our end, it's a risk. Like, Alex knows he has literally like the exact ads that he runs, and he's like, oh, just put money behind it with your branding and it's going to perform. Versus with us, we're still not 100% confident that we could do it. That's why we want to do this test. Like, oh, can Smart Nonsense do it? Then we show it to the world. And then we can charge, I don't know, a lot of money. I don't know how. It kind of depends on the brand too, because that was one of my concerns, is like MFM. They're like, we put out 10 clips and we know we're going to get 1 million. So what's the benefit?
What do you mean?
They're like, oh, we just pay this dude and he gets out like 10 clips in 2 weeks or in a month, and we know one of them is going to get 1 million. So why would we just pay him like $4,000 to do it?
True. The difference is probably infrastructure. Like, we have the teammates that could actually do this at scale, right?
Right.
There's 50 of us. That guy's 1 person or 5
and that's
people.
Kind of the edge of being a product, is we just hyper specialize in this. We're like, okay, we know exactly like the minimum viable virality video. Minimum viable virality video. A lot of these. MVVV.
MVVP, baby.
Yeah. So if we just, it's kind of like circling back to what we once were, but it kind of fits nicely with the clip name too. But it's like we focus on that, and we kind of refine our systems from before. Before we were trying to do like these super high end, but we're like just minimum viable virality, and then scale that. Like, you can now tap in people. Alex mentions this. He's like, hey, guess what? Fast is more valuable than free. People prefer, like, for example, there's this business. I forget where maybe he brought it up, but he's like, what was the podcast? Who's the money guy? The real estate money guy?
Graham Stephan?
Graham Stephan was on that podcast. I think they were talking about one guy just set up a DMV that's like, he got a license from the state to set up his own DMV. He's like, oh, we do what the DMV does. It's just immediate. It's like, you get your shit in 10 minutes and it costs $50. Like, that's their value add, and people would much rather pay for that. So we're like, oh, we're going to get you up to 1 million views in a week. There is no way on earth HubSpot could do that unless they went through us. It's like, oh, I'm willing to just see what happens in a week, and then we don't even spend, like, we get our money back if it doesn't work. Like, that seems like a no-brainer. So when we crunch that speed, kind of like Amazon getting it down in 2 days with the infrastructure they have, it's like, oh, that makes it more valuable too. All of this to say, did I say this was going to be 10 minutes?
The declaration, baby.
Okay.
The 10-minute, 30-minute declaration.
Well, here's what I want
on the air.
Here's my first concern we got to get through before I declare anything. I want to scale this down. A month is like too far off. It's not very tangible. I like a week better. So I'm like, what's a realistic number of views to get to in a week? And it's really, with these power laws, it's really like, how many videos do we need before one hits this number?
That's exactly right.
And what's the max number?
If you're putting out the proper like story arc 30-second videos that are relevant to the viewer, I mean, kind of like you said, it takes one clip to do 1 million views.
Well,
so if you're going to bring that time down, it's like,
That's the thing. None of Ollie's videos got 1 million views. I think the max is like 500,000.
True.
So I think there's also like a viral potential of the content. I don't think we have the 1 million view potential for most of our content. We didn't really have to dig to find anything that's like, or we're at least not shooting for that. So I think like, I think more realistically is like 100,000 is like, okay, this performed really well for the type of content we're talking about. So I'm like, okay, can in 1 week we get a video that hits 100,000 views on like any of the platforms, either IG or TikTok? Like, okay, if we can do that, I think that would.
Okay, so concern one is a month is too far away. Let's bring that time down to a week. What's realistic in a week?
Gives me too much time to fuck around. I just want heads down. Do it in a week, and we can like scale back the goal, but it's still. I mean, the sample size.
So 100,000 views in a week.
That's kind of dope. That's probably more than our lifetime views on It's More Nonsense.
Yeah, that's the other thing that I think about. It's not related to this, and then we'll get on to the declaration, but they're just low quality views, right? Like a TikTok slop view, it's just lower quality million views than.
Well, that's why HubSpot's focusing on YouTube in particular, because that view, like our average watch time on a podcast is like 15, 20 minutes. It's like, oh, that's a view is worth 15 minutes there versus 5 seconds on TikTok. It's like, okay,
right.
That's where it gets all out of whack. Oh, now I'm confused.
By the slop?
I'm just confused why we're, I guess, hey, this is what happens all the time. I get lost again. I started thinking about Tim Ferriss being like, I got all these views on TikTok or whatever, but they just don't convert over to like YouTube.
Oh, that's
YouTube
funny,
is the engine,
dude.
And Mr. Beast.
That's funny. It's kind of like, and we'll still get to the point here, but
maybe there won't be a
this is why this is why we get so roller coastery. Is we're dealing with so many mental models that, like you said, you can go deep down a hormesis mental model that makes complete sense, and then when we get to the logical end of it, we're like, oh, but what did Tim Ferriss say that one time about the quality of his views? And then we end up circling back. We're like, yeah, we don't want to play that silly game. Silly game is silly prize.
I sent you this yesterday.
Not to discount this, but this is common.
But I feel like
what you sent me yesterday, Pop.
I've seen like Chris D'Elia stuff.
Do you know that they say if you have lots of muscle glycogen, you use the glycogen, your muscles actually.
Shut up.
And been like, oh, I want to watch the full episode of that. But I sent you yesterday with the Mark Zuckerberg 2 interviews. One, he was on Tim Ferriss this week, and then another one, I don't know, a month ago or so, a few weeks ago, he was on Lex Fridman. And Lex Fridman, granted, has a little bit bigger audience than Tim Ferriss, but he got well over 1 million views. I don't know, a couple million views maybe, or at least over 1 million views on the Zuckerberg episode. And last I checked, it was 95,000 on Tim Ferriss. It's like, okay.
But Tim Ferriss has probably more of an audio audience because that's where he started.
Right, but it
Whereas
just gets
Lex
me back to
more
like
so built it on YouTube.
committing to platforms is also interesting.
It's like
too.
committing to an airline and a girlfriend.
Belky, fuck, I'm getting lost again, Belky.
So let's think about this. Why were we here? What's the declaration you're going to make?
I was gonna say.
By the way, folks listening, this is like every single day, every single phone call with us. It's just like
it's existential.
I'm stoked. Wait, why would we?
Well,
ever?
here's what makes me question everything. It's like, why doesn't Mr. Beast do TikTok or Reels?
Does he not?
No. He's like Rolex. He's like, I'm just going to make the best videos possible for YouTube. You guys can repurpose all this shit for all the other stuff. I don't care. I'm just going to focus.
I think he said on Joe Rogan, he just doesn't get those other platforms. He spent his entire life studying YouTube.
And we basically talked every day for 1,000 days in a row and did nothing but just like hyper study, like what makes a good video, what makes a good thumbnail, what's good pacing, like how to go viral.
But he's still wagering everything.
He only goes
on
on
it.
YouTube. He doesn't watch movies. He doesn't watch TV. He doesn't use social media. Doesn't go on social platforms. He is Mr. YouTube.
But then people like Sax is like, I don't want to post these clips anymore. It's better on TikTok. And he's right. It's like it performs better and he doesn't have to share it and like worry about any back and forth. It's like I would want TikTok too. Granted, they don't convert because we tested TikTok at a lot of views and none of that turned into a...
Right. Casey Neistat says 1 YouTube subscriber is worth 100 Twitter followers. Now take that down the chain. What do you think 100 Twitter followers are worth on Instagram? What do you think maybe 1,000 Instagram followers are worth on TikTok? It's just interesting.
Okay, my declaration was gonna be, we're gonna get Smart Nonsense 100,000 views in 1 week, 7 days.
But why not?
Because
now you're thinking about quality of views.
it's like if Mr. Beast is putting all his energy behind YouTube, and Lex Friedman did for his podcast, and it's like, okay, it's clearly paying dividends there, and the
people gotta watch us on YouTube.
I'm just blocking, dude. I guess
it's interesting too. So I'm starting Ollie's YouTube Shorts channel from scratch. For several dozen clips for a couple of weeks, we got 0 views, 0 subscribers, 0 anything. Then something happened, like a switch turned. One got like 1,000 views, and then they all started growing slowly. Then we got the first subscriber. And then like 2 days later, we had 100 subscribers. And now we get like 50 to 100 subscribers a day, which is kind of weird.
That's where it's like YouTube is just the longest of long games, but once you have that inertia, like Tim Ferriss has no inertia. That's why he gets no views off a Mark Zuckerberg interview. Versus Lex Friedman just has all that inertia. It's like, it's going to take a fucking tsunami to stop him. Like a reverse tsunami, because he is a tsunami, and then it just crests in the middle, and then he fucking shoots up into the stratosphere. That's the only thing that's going to stop this thing. I'm like, but there is the crack cocaine hit of just like, I put up this clip, and it got 1 million views. It's like, but
I wonder if, okay, let's play out the low quality bit for a second. It's kind of like, okay, you got me 1 million views. Now what?
I'm just like, okay, here's where it's like, I view YouTube as kind of the binge
Also,
bank.
really quick, look at this. It's nice. Oh,
You texted me?
oh, can't share my screen. No, I want to share my screen.
Hey, I'll let you share your screen.
Okay. No, I can't. It won't let me.
Really?
Oh, wait, here we go. Is it sharing?
Give it a second. Let it breathe.
No, it's not sharing, is it?
That's unfortunate. You want to share a link? Maybe we can do some posts.
No, it's just we'll put it in the B-roll. It'll be a it's the Ollie chart here. You just see 0, 0, 0, and now like the base of we're starting to hit some power laws. So
yeah, the foundation is just built solid as fuck. But then I'm like,
yeah,
you give them the little teaser, and the same way the binge bank works, it's like everyone sees the little teasers on TikTok, but they convert over to YouTube, and that's where we fucking keep them.
They might. We did 500,000 views on that one Ollie video, and they came to us showing an uptick in YouTube views for the long form of that video. Like Tim Ferriss's platform problems might be non-problems, because if his viewers are 40-year-old audiophiles, no amount of anything is like, we don't have enough information.
Also, I don't think his YouTube was actual video there. So I think he was talking about converting from. I don't know what he was talking about actually, because he never really recorded. I don't know when that interview was.
The declaration lives, baby.
Does it live? Fuck, dude. I guess it lives. That's the most like anticlimactic.
There's no reason it shouldn't live.
I guess it's only
So
really
the
a week.
declaration is.
Can I?
Pop.
Okay.
What's the declaration?
Okay.
35 minutes of B-roll.
In the next
you're gonna have to go through
7 days, Smart Nonsense will have a 100,000 view video on TikTok. That's the declaration, Voki.
There's the hook. There's the declaration. And man, you gotta watch this episode to see what a roller coaster that was for a minute. It's gonna continue right after
I still don't
the
know if I
episode.
believe
I
in
have no doubt.
No, dude, I'm gonna believe it.
No, Pop, you said it. You said it on the air. It's this is going out. You have.
It's a 1 week test. Worst case scenario, I burn out all our editors. They hate us, and we have no proof of concept. Adding to the declaration, baby. We didn't have a date. You gotta have a date. I like dates. All right, we are starting on April 4th, 2022. That Monday, the first clip is getting dropped. We have exactly 1 week until the following Monday on the 11th. If
Why
this goes
April
out before
4th?
then, what?
Why April 4th?
It's a weekend. Look at the calendar.
Oh, it's Wednesday? Okay. April 4th.
Guy doesn't do calendars. That's why we're in this cash flow issue. Okay. In 1 week, if you are checking this during the week, I don't know when this is going out. Probably next week. Maybe you'll be in the midst of it. You can see if the pressure's mounting, or if we already flopped, or if we succeeded. Be optimistic, Dylan. We'll see you there.
See ya.